Hello and welcome to this video on why it is that you get sensory hallucinations during a stroke, and most commonly the smell of toast. A stroke is an insidious event. You may not even be aware it is happening. That is because your brain has no sensory neurons in the typical sense. That is, you can't feel your brain. This means when damage happens, the only indications are the effect it has on the way your body works. The most typical signs of a stroke happen and are covered by the FAST acronym: the lopsided facial muscle function, arms that are inequitably innervated and to some degree handicapped, the inability to speak clearly due to uneven innervation of the face and possibly damage to parts of the brain associated with speech production, and finally, time, as treatment is needed urgently to avoid long-term, if not permanent, damage. These signs and symptoms of a stroke are part of why you experience the smell of toast during a stroke. Now, to be clear, smelling toast is not definitively a sign of stroke. It could be that you literally left the toast on too long. It is when you experience this out of context that you need to be concerned. The sensation is an olfactory hallucination. You might also hear this called dysomnia or phantosomnia, smelling something that's not there, just fancier wording. When phantosmia is related to your central nervous system and, for the most part, brain, the smells are going to be persistent, and this is the key to it. Transient smells are unlikely to be associated with a stroke, but persistent smells are, and they're going to be noticeable at all times. This is what distinguishes the sensation or sensing of burning toast as distinct from other hallucinations. It's all a result of your brain failing, and failure occurs as a result of the following very broad process. A stroke involves the brain's blood supply being either stopped entirely or drastically reduced. This means the brain has no oxygen and no sugars, along with the other necessary nutrients. This then leads to either cell damage or cell death. This can be temporary or permanent, which is why the sensations associated with it, and particularly the damage, can be temporary or permanent. Depending on where in the brain the blockage or reduction in blood flow has occurred, it can lead to all sorts of things. Paralysis is associated with motor cortex, and memory loss is across various parts of the brain. The lack of sensation is, the sensory cortex. Speaking can be various parts of the brain, as there are different regions associated with production or understanding of speech. You can sometimes find that, depending on where the damage is, it can just kill, and particularly if treatment's not obtained quickly enough. The loss of smell, and in some cases just the decrease in sensation of smell, is not an isolated symptom or sign of stroke. Rather, it's something that more broadly refers to problems in the brain, whether that is due to stroke or something else entirely. You normally only associate with stroke when there are other signs and symptoms. This neatly brings us to the cause for this video and the misunderstanding that was behind it. You generally will not smell burnt toast prior or during a stroke. This is simply something that occurs for some individuals, but it is a minority. The vast majority of individuals might have some sensation that they experience, but not necessarily that, and it will vary from person to person. For the most part, generally speaking again, the sensation of smell or olfactory function will be altered by stroke, and some research has indicated that nearly 80% of individuals who had a stroke will experience some reduction in their ability to smell, and 15% of those had lost their ability entirely. There is also some good news to that as a general rule, most people recover their sense of smell. However, to what degree is slightly less promising. The older an individual, the not only more severe impairment will be, but the less likely they are to recover to their pre-stroke state. This is why you can smell toast when you are having a stroke, but it's very unlikely that you will. And it's also possible that it's not even due to a stroke. Thank you for watching this video. If you have found it interesting, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please post any comments, questions, or suggestions you have below.